Now, the truth is, we could spend a lot more time on this passage, digging into the Greek words, considering context. But the truth is, my 17 and a half minutes are up. So we're going to wrap up with a few reminders, or maybe a few lessons. Number one, the very first translation of a Bible, which included the word homosexual, was the Revised Standard Version of 1946. And there's a reason that the word homosexual did not appear until then. And that's because it is of modern origin. It's a word of our culture, our generation. There was no such word, no such concept, no such thinking in the Greek, the Hebrew, or the Aramaic languages. And those are the original languages of the Bible. Number two, the Bible is a book about God and God's love for humans. When we focus on what the Bible says about us instead of about God, or when we focus on what the Bible says about others instead of about God, we miss the central message. We miss the point. We miss the purpose. Which brings us to number three, and actually brings us full circle. The Bible reveals God's love for humans, God's love for people, ordinary people like you and me, our friends, our enemies, our neighbors. The Bible is a book which reveals God's love for the world, for the earth, for nature, for the cats and the dogs and the fish and the birds and the holly and the flowers. For God so loved the world. So where is God's love in the story of the centurion? Where's God in the story of the centurion? Where's God's love in the story about the centurion who walked away from his responsibilities in search of healing for his loved one? Where is God's love in the story about someone who goes out of their way to obtain something for someone else? In my opinion and in my experience, God's love is the energy which moved the centurion. In my opinion and in my experience, love is a holy and divine energy which moves us, which moves me away from myself in search of what benefits and heals and helps others. God is the energy which keeps us searching for hope and wholeness in the midst of a fragmented world. God's love is the energy which creates and gives shape to a peace and justice community, an open and affirming community. God's love is the energy which fuels us to become a movement for wholeness in a fragmented world. God's love is also the energy which fills us with just enough foolishness to believe that we can make a difference. You are blessed. You are a blessing. Be at peace.